Fill it with
Hello.
what? Because I really don't. Okay, so I like a donut, and I like, you know, like oh shoot, I'm blanking. What is it that some people put in donuts that really doesn't belong in donuts? Cream.
Uh,
Yeah.
Lemonade.
Well, that too. But I like cream and I like donuts, but I do not like cream filled donuts.
What about like chocolate fudge filled donuts?
Too close.
Custard?
I don't like custard.
I don't know if we can be
I like
friends.
strawberry icing.
Let's see
I
what
also like
else.
cheesecake.
Well,
Cheesecake.
yeah. I mean, everybody loves cheesecake.
Pinball Witch said hamburgers. Yeah. Let's not put hamburgers in our donuts.
What? Huh?
Look, you said what's in
Huh?
donuts that shouldn't be.
Yeah, but now I'm. That's
There's a
basically
name
like.
for that, isn't it?
Well, I'm thinking like, okay, so for A, you cook the ground beef first, right? But you cook it in a ring shape, and then B, you then like deep fry it. It's a deep fried hamburger in a roll, in a ring. It's like a hamburger ring instead of an onion ring.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember the name of the. There's a name for a hamburger with donuts as the bun, but I can't remember what it's
Oh, like
called.
a Krispy Kreme burger? Yeah, I think that's a thing.
Yeah,
It's
it's
someone's
It's
name. What's it called?
fattening.
yes, diabetes probably, but I mean,
Oh, is it
other
a
than
Luther
that,
burger?
That's it. That's it.
Odin's son nailed it.
Luther burger,
That's it.
like Lex. This does like sound like something he would come up with.
What? No, like oh crap.
Was it Luther Vandross?
That's what I was thinking. Was it? Hang on, we gotta
I
look this
don't
up.
remember.
Luther burger. Why is it called a Luther burger? It was, of course, named after R&B singer Luther Vandross. Yeah, okay. There you go. We nailed it, chat. But okay, now that we have filled for almost 3 minutes, I think that means it's definitely for realsies and serious recording now. I didn't get on the clock. What time do we start this call?
Uh,
7:34.
7:34. Yeah.
There we go. I don't even know why I track my time anymore because I don't ever look at it. And I accidentally deleted the odds and ends entry when I got frustrated and was trying to change a thing. I accidentally deleted the entirety of odds and ends as an option. So any odds and ends hours I've ever used were just gone. And I went,
Wow.
it's like, that's not what I thought I was doing, but I was in a hurry and frustrated.
Seems like it should be a little more difficult to do something like that.
Don't press the big red button. Don't do it.
Hang on. I gotta take my headset off for just a second.
Quick, let's all talk bad about him. Yeah, I got nothing.
I guess.
It
Oh,
There's a
sounded like
hamster.
I heard a sound that sounded like geese outside, like out the front door. Why would there be geese out my front door?
Well,
So I
random
was-
bit of information. I was in my the workroom and making copies, and I heard something scuttling up in the ceiling. Apparently, there was a bird in one of the ducts.
A bird. Oh, ducked. Ducked.
Oh.
They said there's a bird in a duck, and I'm like,
All right, I heard
this
that too
a
and
bird?
got really confused.
yeah. Well, this is highly philosophical, Chewie. There is a duck. There's a bird inside every duck, just waiting to come out. But there's a bird in a duct. Was it a duck?
No, I mean we never found out because it's inside of the AC unit apparently. Because it
So it
wasn't up in
could have been.
the ceiling tiles. It was inside of the piping and everything, like the duct system.
Was it John McClane? I'm sorry, I just watched Die Hard earlier today. All right, let's actually start the show. Here we go. Damn it! What was that? Nothing popped up. Did anyone see anything pop up on the screen? I didn't. I heard it. Oh, it's because it's turned off. Whoops. Okay, I fixed it. Oh, that was Pinball Witch throwing 10 bits saying Dirk is making a turducken. Boo! Okay, now, let me get some silence for real this time. Okay, Pinball, thank you. Here we go. Ow, jam! Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Mana Pool. This is episode 621 of the Mana Pool, and I got nothing.
I'm about to say I'm waiting in anticipation.
Bated breath here.
Very much so. So I'm Chewie, the lead dork, and I have these other dorks here too. Hi, dorks.
Hey, I'm Brian. I'm the lead rambler and tangent master of the group. That's what it feels like. Ha 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 ha. And yeah. It's something witty here. I don't. Whoa! Wow! I'm off my game. You can call me Professor Not Onyx because I'm not Professor Onyx, but I might step on Chewie anyway.
Baby.
Hi. I'm Mike. I'm the rules guy and the game board guy. And I haven't come up with a funny professor name yet.
I mean, you've already got one. You're Professor Beard, remember?
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
And I'm Dirk, the self-proclaimed greenest man alive and moral compass of the group. I'm going to try and not come up with a pause that just sort of goes out of the way. And I am not the nutty professor. Just saying.
But he might be a nutty professor. Yeah. So.
That I cannot guarantee.
Right. This week, we are announcing the opening of the TMP University of the Arcane. Let's say.
Yes, because we shall.
Dirk had the idea that this week, what if we did our own schools of magic? And I said, aha! Because usually Dirk comes up with really good ideas, but ideas that require like homework and creativity and things that I just don't have time for. Like, Dirk's like, what if we all made cards to represent? No, just no. But he said, why don't we
all
make
built decks to express?
No. But look, there's another bug on the wall. I just killed a spider over there. Now there's one right there. But Dirk said, hey, why don't we come up with our own schools of magic for our own magic university? And I went, that sounds like fun. So, so that's what we're doing.
Indeed.
Because, you know, Strixhaven is the newest. Although apparently there was a preview stream today for the next two sets because heaven forbid we have time to absorb anything ever.
Huh.
What new sets for the D&D set?
Modern Horizons, I think too, and the D&D set.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, but we don't care because we've got Strixhaven stuff to talk about, damn it. So, except not, because this is the TMP University of the Arcane.
Indeed.
And Pinball Witch through 10 more bits says, well, remember, there's a set every 2 months or less this year. Yeah, right? But, so who wants to go first? Oh, that thing's getting away.
I mean, I can go first if you'd like, or I can let someone else go first.
Sorry, my
Uh,
headset won't reach over there, so I had to drop my headset on the chair and dash over to the wall.
Okay. So I will admit, before we even get into this, that I had a revelation while Chewie was talking, which is that I think I may have read the assignment a little differently than everybody else. I kind of thought that we were all making up our own colleges because Dirk said our own school. So my thought went school versus like the whole school instead of like, say, this segment of it.
Like
But
the
I think
College of Arts and Sciences in
right.
the University of North Carolina at
But
Greensboro.
so I think this fits either way because we didn't have any other set rules or guidelines or anything like that. So I came up with a theme, a philosophy for my school, college, university, whatever you want to call it. So this could be like the Western campus or the subsection because I got thinking about it. And what is something that don't look at the comments. Uh fish hybrids. What is something that every color gets into on a basic level?
Your hand.
Okay.
Your pants.
Conflict.
Yes. From a okay.
Cost greater than 0.
Oh my god. Summoning.
Mike's hand.
Summoning.
Churches.
Mike's
Churches. Very small rocks.
This was a mistake. This was a horrible mistake. Oh, good lord. No, I mean, every color, even blue, plays creatures. And so, what if there was a school out there for wizards or mages or whatever the term is that focused on summoning? I mean, even in the early days of Magic, like back when Mike started to play, it was summon, fish or summon soldier, right? That got changed. I don't even know, like to
I
just
don't remember
creature.
when that change happened. It was while I wasn't playing.
It was the classic 6th edition rules update.
Okay.
Yeah, there we go.
That was totally not classic, right? So, and every color, if you think about it, I did kind of a deep dive on this. Every color could philosophically have a different approach to summoning. So I made a little chart here, and I found there was actually some overlapping here. So I'm going to take just a minute and kind of go through this. But again, if I get too far, just say, "Hey, Brian, pull it back." But again, the basic idea for this is all 5 colors are represented, and then what is the philosophy behind how each color gets to summon creatures, because that is in the theory that Magic is a game of 2 planeswalkers, having a planeswalker duel or whatever. You are summoning these creatures to fight on your behalf, right? And there's some overlap here in some philosophies. So no spam risk. I don't want to talk to you. Go away. So for example, green is the most almost basic one because green, green is one of the most creature centric colors. So I said that the way that, if you think about a lot of the way that we've seen green, sorry, that really distracted me. That stupid phone. I'm turning that upside down. You read some of the stories, and actually you watch or you read some of the early comic books with the Planeswalkers with Garrick, and it specifically shows him going into a jungle and like forming bonds with these creatures, and then later he's able to then summon those creatures, right? So green has more of a, hey, this is my pet now kind of thing, whereas black, sometimes you sign a contract with a demon, then later the demon Mike shows up, and you may or may not get to win Mike because your demon is helping you but also hurting you at the same time.
Hmm.
So, um, again, I kind of did an overlap here where white and green both have this philosophy of bonding with the creature, because white, also think of soldiers, the white mage might be able to inspire soldiers and bring them onto their cause, versus again the black philosophy of, hey, you work for me now. So I did a little bit of that, and I can certainly come back into this, but I don't, this is not the Brian Talks for 2 hours episode. um, but that was kind of the basic thought. And then it kind of goes into, we wanted to talk about mechanics that could fit into this, and I'd love to get everybody's thoughts on that. But I also came up with a new ability, and Mike needs to tell me if this is a keyword or an ability word. And
Okay.
I think it's an ability word. This would be like a triggered ability. So this would be um, on creatures, I think primarily, and the ability would be written out something summoner. Summoner is always the second word, and the first word is a creature type. And what it means is, and then it has a colon and some other effect. And what it means is, while this creature is on the battlefield, whenever you cast a creature spell that has that creature type, you then do whatever the ability says after the colon. For example, I made up a mock here, novice slime slinger, and this would be just a small elf druid, but it has slime summoner, colon, add 1 mana of any color. So whenever you cast a slime spell, this produces 1 mana of any color. So it's kind of a mana fixer. So what type of ability is that?
Well, it
It
wouldn't
would
use a
have to be an
colon for
ability
one.
word, and you wouldn't be able to template it with a colon. You'd have to, yeah, we already have comments in the chat about it. You'd have to use an M dash for it because the colon is reserved for templating activated abilities.
Okay. So we'd have to do M dash. Okay.
Yeah. I can't remember whether colon is also used for choose one, but anyway, but yeah, and also because you don't get the same result every time related to the input for the different cards that it would be on.
Say that again. I want to make sure I'm following you.
For the different cards that it would be on and the different effects you want to do, because I know there would be different effects.
Yes. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Because you aren't getting the same effect anytime every time based on the input.
Right.
It can't be keyworded, not like
Okay.
that. It's like
Okay.
how monstrosity can be keyworded even though it has a different cost every time, because
Okay.
it always does the same thing. It
Right.
always puts the given number of counters on the creature and it becomes monstrous. Now, a lot of them have some other ability that triggers when they become monstrous, but that's not part of the monstrous ability
Okay.
itself. Like that's why
So
monsters can be keyworded, and that's why landfall can't, because even though the trigger condition is the same every single time, a land enters a battlefield under your control, the output is different every single time.
Which is the
gotcha.
example I was just about to give Brian so that he'll remember.
Mhm.
Landfall is like the quintessential ability word
Yeah.
Okay. I will.
because it's the same thing causes it to trigger, but what happens every time is different.
Okay.
So like exile something other than this angel, or give this +2/+2, or poke your opponent in the eye, or whatever.
Mm.
But
All
that's
right.
that's a good one to like. The one I always remember is sweep, because it's the first time it clicked in my brain that that's an ability word and that's what that means. Even though sweep is really stupid and landfall is way more ubiquitous, because that's where it clicked in my brain. That's the one that always pops up when I think ability word. I see the two different ones where you pick up planes.
Hmm.
Okay. So this is an ability word, and it is a. Is it also technically a triggered ability because it is a when then sort of thing?
Yeah, because it starts
Okay.
with yeah.
Okay. So what I imagined was, so you've got this ability, and you put it primarily on, not to be xenophobic, but primarily on humans, and maybe you pick a couple other creature types, one or two other creature types in each color, but you're always summoning something that is not that creature type. So this human, for example, in white, I for each color I put down um, creatures, almost like a tribal theme, a small creature and a large creature type that would fit into that. So that maybe a white human creature that when you summon a soldier, you get some sort of incremental effect, like put a +1/+1 counter on a creature you control, something like that. And then when you or later you have an angel summoner, but these are not triggering off of each other, if that makes sense. So that on one sense it's semi-tribal, but you're also encouraging yourself to play these, at least these two, in tandem. And someone said in the chat, and this is exactly what I like, Chifuji said on the flavor of this, he feels like it's as if the creature is helping to summon these other creatures, and that's exactly what I was going for. These are essentially the students, or at higher levels like the upperclassmen or professors that are teaching or learning and or teaching how to summon these iconic creature types. Like for white, I said small uh, creature type would be soldier and large would be angel. For blue, I would love to see something like either illusions or homunculus for the smaller level. And for large, I got thinking maybe like constructs, colored constructs, because you got to be careful with these sorts of things when you cast artifact spells, right? I'm not making any mistakes there. Black, something small. Like, are imps technically demons? Because I would love to see imps like carved out as their own creature type, just like a small, like little blah for a black to command, and then demons at the bigger side, that sort of thing. So that is basically, again, I could spend another 15 minutes going into the philosophies between each color and the one it shares with each of its allied colors. It's kind of what I stuck with. But what do you guys think? And do you think this is something you could build around?
Like generic
Anybody?
enough that you could personalize it. Yeah.
Right.
Imp is its own separate creature type.
Yay. I'm glad to hear that. So does this
So let's
sound
see. It would
interesting?
be like summoner dash whenever you. What would it be? How would it be templated? Cast a creature spell with the type with the creature type. Nah,
Right.
then
So
do this thing.
so
Mhm.
I think it would spell out uh this type of summoner, and then yeah, whenever you cast a creature spell, cast versus enters the battlefield. That way you don't get some of the abusive, like, oh great, I spawn lots of elf tokens or something like that. You also get the effect from the cast, even if it gets countered. Does that make sense? That was where I went from a design perspective.
Hmm.
Uh, somebody, Panahinuva, I'm mispronouncing
You got it
Pan.
right first time.
Yeah, says in chat, Imp Summoner. Whenever you cast an Imp spell, each opponent loses one life. Yeah, something like that.
Mhm.
Perfect. Demon Summoner. Whenever you cast a demon spell, maybe you lose 3 life and draw 2 cards or something like that. So
Cool.
yeah, I knew you'd like that. And definitely something like both for like the early game like goblins, and then for the later game like dragons. And you could there's definitely potential for like gold cards, but I didn't want it. I If you start to have like 15 supported creature types, it starts to get
Hmm.
a little too much of a strain, especially for limited play. But I like the thought of, again, tribal is fine, and elves helping other elves is great. But I thought, what if we have here where there's a bit of tension because you want to play the summoner, but then you later want to play the other spell? I suppose from a design perspective, it could be a bit of a feel bad where you don't get the summoner until later in the game. But I guess maybe you can work around that with how you fill in, maybe of creature search effects, things like that. I don't know. You could fill it in, I'm sure, with design. Dirk, what do you think of the summoner school?
Yeah. Like I said, I think it's has room for a great deal of expansion and um, modifications.
Hmm.
I go with it.
Okay.
Yeah, I like it. I wonder if you got to developing it, if you'd find a point where you'd want to explore, what if I just made this whenever you cast a creature spell and see if that broke and added anything, opened up anything, or broke something, or whatever like that.
Entirely possible. I thought about it for a while, uh, and that would probably open it up and make it easier to play,
Hmm.
especially in limited. I do feel like you lose some flavor, and it's almost like then you have to scale back the effect,
Hmm.
because then if everything is triggering off of it, including future summoners, then you start to like the effect starts to get crazy. But because it's built into creatures, you're if you overextend, then the game has ways to naturally punish you. Like, oh look, I got these five things, and now they all trigger every time I play a creature spell. And somebody's like, cool, they're all dead now. So, I'd have to think about it.
No,
It
yeah, that's a good point. If they're all based on creatures, then you'll just have a deck where every time you play something, a bunch of stuff triggers. It's like, brah, brah, brah. That might be a little too much.
Yeah. But I do, as much as I love the old effects back from when I started playing about like elves that care about other people's elves, and I really enjoy that, especially for multiplayer. What I didn't want to have here is, first of all, I thought from a flavor perspective, you want to do it only when you're casting a particular spell, not when somebody else is, because you're not getting credit for their work. You should be getting credit for yours. But also to avoid memory issues becoming a problem. So, um, I think I wonder if you could do it where maybe you constrict it to a certain color, like a red summoner, where whenever you cast a red creature spell, then something happens, perhaps. Um, but but you start adding too many words. Okay, this triggers when I cast a goblin or dragon or lizard or salamander spell. That starts to get very
Yeah,
wordy, right?
and I
So
think I think it'd be for design purposes, it might even be a stretch to have each color support two
yeah.
summoning types. You might only be able to do one summoning type in each color.
That's a good point. Originally, I was thinking about doing tokens, and then it felt really samey to what Strixhaven did with the schools and their designated tokens. And I thought, well, no, if I open this up, first of all, you want what we learned our lesson from Kamigawa and Arcane. And when you have a subset of cards that only care about those, then all the nifty things that it could care about from other sets go out the window, right? So I didn't want to be like make it so tied into, okay, this has to be
Hmm.
from this set. But tokens I felt was again getting a little too samey to what we just saw in Strixhaven. So I wanted to be like, hey, cast, find ways to, um, make this really work with blue and illusions. Maybe some of the old illusion cards that they printed, some of the core sets could be really interesting here. Um, so yeah, but there, I agree. I think that you definitely a tribal set where the cards care about each other. I keep coming back to elves, but like Lorwyn, you only need two or three good elf cards, and then as long as they care about each other, that's fine. But it could be potentially problematic when you've got a human card that wants you to play goblins, because then you're already doing two things, and then if you've got another human or centaur or whatever that wants you to play with dragons, what's the correct number of each? And that starts to get really tough, doesn't it? So,
Yeah, you can do crossovers with. Yeah, you can do one crossover,
oh,
and I know there are some. I know there are some sets that have that design into them. Like you brought up Lorwyn and Shadowmoor, they built in some crossovers between some of the tribes in a
I
few cards.
I just had a thought. What if you did each color had the smaller one, and then the gold two colors got the larger ones with a creature type that they tend to share between them. Like white and blue share sphinxes, right? So that could
Uh,
be a thing. Well, I'm just saying that it doesn't have to be
yeah,
sphinxes. I'm just
I get what you're saying.
where you get the payoff for playing the bigger ones, later, but maybe if you do either gold or hybrid, perhaps, then there's some potential there. What do you think for like the big effects?
For big effects, yeah.
Okay. So again, that was kind of my idea for my school. Glad you think that there's some potential there, and I'd be happy to turn it over to someone else.
The the school that I came up with, obviously mine was going to be green blue.
But
I had originally thought of adding white to it as well, but was like, you know what? Let's keep this from getting out of hand. So I decided mine was going to focus on green blue. Um, so the sort of the lore behind mine, like if I was to go for the name, it would be something having to do with masks, and so that's sort of where I was kind of going with. But why sort of using masks as part of the name and everything is um, where I wanted to go with mine is that you have little creatures,
Okay.
like again, little elves, little blue, little green creatures, and what they do is they cast champion spells. So champion would be the key term for them, and by casting champion, they would something would champion them and would give them new abilities. And then
so are you talking about the ability that exists already called champion?
yes,
From
Oh.
Lorwyn. Yeah. Okay. We haven't seen that in forever.
yeah,
But I think Chewie and
no,
I wanted to make sure you weren't making up something new. So, okay, go
no,
ahead.
no, no, yeah, the
Okay.
old champion ability.
All right.
So like again, you'd have these little creatures that may have like little ones. I was thinking that maybe you could tap them and they would um, they would allow you to like they had to be tapped in order to champion, but that's beside getting away from it. But the whole point is that you would champion the little creatures, and when you champion them, they would have big effects. Or maybe they would maybe some had convoke as potential one that you tap them. That's part of their cost to summon them, as they have to be tapped, and so it ends up championing them in the process and whatnot. Um, but yeah, you'd end up that they would become bigger, and as an additional part of it, that uh, once they're championed, you could put enchantments on the creatures. So essentially it's an enchantment heavy school. The school focuses on enchantment spells.
Okay.
So between things like auras and champion as a was it champions of is no not what is it keyword, is that correct?
Champion is a
Champion is a keyword, yeah.
yeah.
Okay, making sure I got that right. So um that would sort of be the focus of my school, and I was trying to think, well, what would be a representation of who the leader of the school would be, and ironically when I was thinking of masks as being the you know uh because if you're champion things, if you're putting auras on things, you're sort of like you're putting a mask over yourself to sort of hide you with these auras of I'm getting bigger, I've got all these new abilities and things like that. That Estrid, the mast, kind of fit a little bit into it. She's green, white, blue, so she doesn't fit completely into the color of it. But the fact that each enchanted permanent you control, because she's a planeswalker,
Mhm.
untap enchanted permanent. She can create an aura that's a token named mask attaching to another creature, and stuff like that, where she focuses on the enchantment side of things. And that's sort of where I was wanting to go with, is that the school for mine is little creatures that summon things to make them bigger. And the one of the big purposes of the champion part is that if you kill the champion, then the little creature underneath is comes back into play. So, okay, you killed my like avatar suit and everything. All right, well, I'll just throw another one on me, sort of thing. So it's like they can constantly um, go from one suit of armor to another. Is sort of where what the school is all about. Is little guys and the armors that they can throw on. I guess like the masks, the champions and everything. Um, would have things like this becomes a big creature with trample, or has hexproof, or has flying, you know, has things like that that they pick up along the way, and then you can again throw on additional enchantments to make them even more powerful. But that was again sort of the thought I was rolling with my school. Um, I couldn't think of a name for what my school would be, um, but I was trying to think of something like the uh, try not to like the Mask of the Phantasm, or maybe like Phantasm would be the name of the school or something like that, where it just needed to focus on enchanting things and stuff along that line.
Okay. So I just want to make sure I'm following. So it would be primarily centered in green and white,
No,
which
it's green and blue.
green and blue. Oh, that's right. You said that. I pulled up the planeswalker and it confused me. Green and blue, but both of those can dabble in enchantments. You want to have a focus on champion as well as our enchantments and specifically auras. Is that right? To represent the masks.
Yep.
Okay, that's a really interesting take. So, as a school, what is the philosophy like? How did you? I'm just curious. I'm not trying to nitpick. How did you get to masks like as a teaching philosophy? Like, if I sign up here, what am I coming to learn?
The focus on it, or like what the big part is finding ways of improving, or I guess defending yourself, or finding ways to augment yourself to adapt to the environment that you're in.
Ah, which
So
is which is a very green blue philosophy.
yeah.
So,
So
interesting.
again, if the opponent has lots of you know big things on the ground, then okay, well, we're flying. If you've got lots of little things, are well, we're trampling, and things that kind of go into that vein.
Yeah.
And then having the ability to increase the strength, things like uh, what is it, ancestral mass, to make things bigger. And that's the thing too, and that's kind of why I went the route I did, is that with ancestral mass, that for me was kind of why I base this around masks, because ancestral mask is never a bad card, particularly if enchantments and championing things, which to me, champion is kind of like an enchantment, except that instead of having like you're kind of replacing a creature with something else, like another creature.
Hmm.
But again, that was sort of the philosophy with, is that you're this little bitty guy who can, or a little bitty creature maybe has some simple part of it that maybe, yeah, just they're just a little generic guy who can suddenly get really really big, or adapt to in a situation depending on what's there, with whatever abilities the champion would provide, and then you could additionally augment with auras to make the champion even stronger.
I think champion is a really interesting fit for a school as well because from a flavor perspective, it can represent a couple different things. It can mean the original creature, as you said, the creature or the student adapting to its environment, which it's also doing through the auras, or it could represent like a teacher or mentor that that is kind of showing, okay, let me show this other creature the ropes. This is how this is supposed to work, right? So you could take this in a couple different directions. What do you think, Chewie?
I always loved Champion,
I
especially the
thought Champion was
Changeling
an
ones.
interesting ability.
Yeah, especially the Changelings. It's just said champion a creature, so that way it didn't matter if you were playing a tribe or not. Like the Changeling, what was it called?
Mhm.
The Changeling Hero. He was like my favorite thing ever back in the day. Is
Oh,
that
is
what he
that
was
that?
called?
Is that that one with the sword and the?
Yeah, the one that gives like
Yeah.
first strike and lifelink or something,
Yeah.
or no, just lifelink, but it was a 4/4. I don't know why. I just love that guy. And the Changeling Titan, which turned into a 7/7. And then, yeah, things like Lightning Crafter and frickin' the 10-2 with Trample that wasn't a changeling. That was Champion in Elemental, wasn't it? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What was that called? Nova something? Nova
Chaser.
Nova Chaser. There we go. I could see the art, but I couldn't see the name. But yeah, I think that's really cool, especially if you're gonna flavor it out as the creature like upgrading somehow, and then auras and whatnot on top of that is. Huh, that was my chair. Yeah, I like it, and it's very green blue.
It is.
So yeah, I dig it.
See a champion. Yeah, there. I mean, looking at the stuff, I can see your Changeling Hero. Why he's fun.
Was
I
it
love that little
wasn't
dude.
that what was the one that was terrifying? The Chameleon Colossus?
Did that have champion? Oh wow.
Oh,
No.
no, it was just a terrifying changeling. Nothing. Sorry.
Oh okay.
I have flashbacks to that and I'm like,
I was like, I
no,
don't remember that at all. Wow.
the to me the the Mistbind click was champion almost gone wrong.
Yeah, that's a terrifying one.
Yeah. That was the you don't get to play anymore champion to your opponent.
Oh gosh, yeah. When a
Yeah.
fairy is championed with Mistbind click, tap all lands target player controls.
Yes, I remember.
Oh,
Yeah, there's a reason that thing still sees play in
Does
various
it
non-rotating formats.
and doesn't it have flash? I don't have it up in front of me, but
Yeah,
Of course it does.
it does.
yeah. So there's a way to do champion correctly, and then there's Mistbind click. So
So yeah, that was my thought and everything with the one I put together, and again, it has the ability to have other colors thrown into it and added to it, but like I said, I wanted to keep it in blue green because that's my jam. So
well, hey, play to your strengths.
Wait, that's your what?
that's my jam.
Jam. Sorry. I'm actually not.
Nope, not even slightly. Okay.
Well, Mike, you want to go next or should I go next?
I can go next. My idea is a lot more loose and less fleshed out, just because of the time I've been able to spend thinking about it.
Well, we can help you
my-
flesh it out.
Yeah, my first thought was that this would end up reflecting some of our just personal interest for the things that we like to study, and we would turn it into a magical school.
Hey, that's the direction I took.
Cool. Okay. So, and I don't know, knowing you, we might have landed on a similar result in terms of the field of study, but history and science are kind of the combination of things, and I think they can be studied in combination, that interest me the most. And thinking about a school that would focus on those two things together, then I get into the idea of the history of science, how
Ooh.
we've learned what we've learned, how our understanding of the world and how to learn about the world has changed. So what does that mean? It means going back and taking the way things used to be done and examining them and relating them to the present day to see, what we have in common, what's different, how far we've come. Um, so I start to see like effects that recover spells or copy spells from the past. I see opportunities for using the imprint mechanic to,
One of my favorite mechanics of all time. Sorry.
yeah, I see opportunities to use the imprint mechanic. I see opportunities to use spell shapers. Um, that's something from originally from Arcadian Masks block that of course came back in Time Spiral block because everything came back in Time Spiral block. And then I think was it used again in a small way and something else later? I don't remember. Uh,
I well, like you said, Time Spiral
yeah,
covered a lot of stuff.
hmm
So
And that's where you have a creature with an ability that says, pay some suspiciously familiar mana cost, tap, discard a card to get a suspiciously familiar spell effect that goes with that mana cost. Um, and of course, also when you're talking about history, you might think about artifact synergy stuff, but I think it's not an archaeology type thing, so I don't want to go in that direction.
this isn't like layer hold,
Yeah,
lore hold. Yeah.
yeah, it's not an archaeology type thing. It's almost more of a philosophy type thing.
No, the history of science, though, that's really interesting because how we have thought just from our own world history, let alone the history
Mhm.
of Ravnica, etc., how we have analyzed science has changed over many, many, many years.
Mhm.
So, and yet some things remain constant, like the guy. I'm not a science guy, so I'm not going to get his name right, but that came up with DNA, learn the cube guy with the four squares. Uh, he was a monk, right? Who was growing beans. Please tell me I'm not way far off base.
You are. I just can't remember the name. Dirk. What's the name of that guy?
From
I completely zoned out for a second doing
Okay, never
something
mind. I
else.
think Brian
yeah,
Brian is thinking of Punnett squares,
Yes.
but that's not the name of the monk that you're thinking about.
Okay. So I'm mixing two things.
Yeah.
All right. So see, but my point is that
Wait,
even
the
some of
monk
them,
with the beans?
yeah.
Yes.
It's a
Min-
uh, Gregor Mendel.
Gregor Mendel. There we go.
So I'm mixing Punnett and Mendel. So, but my point is that even though our methods have gotten more sophisticated, they are still based off of the research that was done initially, and we continue to refine how we do these things. And I'm taking way too long to
Yeah.
explain it, but I think it's a fascinating subject. So,
Yeah. And that might have also been on my mind a little more than usual lately because I recently finished a book about like the development of the idea of number from from Greek mathematical thought to like medieval mathematical thought, and that was pretty interesting. But yeah, I also came up with an idea that after I thought about it for more than a few seconds, I was like, no, that's dumb. The idea of modal double face cards where one side is the ancient version of the spell and the other side is the modern version of the spell. But I'm like, okay, so one side will be good and the other side will either be crummy or broken. So yeah, let's not.
so on one side it'll be shock, and on the other side it'll be lightning bolt,
Yeah,
and I'll be like, which one of these do I want to cast?
exactly.
I mean, I give you no. I think this could be done. I think this could be done. It would just have to be really like you'd have to work super hard on it.
Yeah, or you have something where on one side is uh murder and on the other side is terror. It's like
I mean, yeah, because
maybe you won't be
you
casting only one side ever, but
Hmm.
But it's got potential at least.
Yeah,
That's fascinating.
yeah. I think Pinball Witch left a comment in the chat. They would have to be really different from each other to make it make sense to give you an actual choice.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Shock on one side and XRR Fireball on the other. That's
There
what
you go.
that was Witch's example.
Okay. But but at the same time, if you're trying to make make it clear, hey, this is old versus new, then it almost needs to have like a callback so that people don't go, why is this a random spell?
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's got potential. I just think it would be tricky to execute.
Yeah.
Um, Now you could do something with the art where maybe I don't, but well, the first thing I thought to was something archaeological, like an old beat up golem versus a new golem. That's not what you're going for.
Right.
So I feel like there's, but my brain is going. I'm like, I feel like there's definitely a way to do something like that. And I'm a sucker for imprint. There's Imprint is just fertile design space because there's a million things you can do with it. So
It can be abused. I tried to do it.
I mean, you can appreciate something without necessarily abusing it, but yes, there's that too.
Dirk's like, no, you can't.
Imprint's the one where you put on artifact and it makes extra copies of that artifact, right?
That is a thing. The
Is that what?
Soul Foundry, that made copies of creatures, like token copies of a creature that was imprinted.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
They eventually
Because that was
made
the thing with
something for
Imprint is
everything. I don't think they made one for lands, but
For lands, jeez. Oh, that would be. Oh, so they did the one that was the extraplanar lens, but now I'm picturing one where basically you put a land on it, and then you get token copies of a land. You never have to draw land ever again. Oh my god, that's terrifying. It would have to be something like stupid to activate because, geez.
I can't remember whether the one that makes copies of artifacts has a non-land rider on it, but I don't think it does. Anyway.
No, but
But
there's
yeah,
some.
that's the idea I came up with. Color wise, this feels like a blue white realm of research.
It can green. I mean,
I thought about
but
green. It might be blue, white, green.
well, here's the thing about science is that it could really go anywhere. I think we all jump to green, but that's because of biology. But
But green also covers wisdom, understanding yourself and your place in the world. So that's why this inward look at the development of knowledge,
yeah.
I think green can apply to.
But there are certain white philosophies to science as well, because science is from a philosophical standpoint, it can be done for selfish reasons, like creating a bomb to end a war where you're the winner. But a lot of advances are made for the betterment of humankind, right? So I feel like white could get in there somehow. I mean, a lot of vaccines, that feels fairly altruistic to me. Um, Heck, even things that we intend for war or other things have enhanced our study and research into unrelated fields.
Mm,
So my point being, I feel like you get in there. Black's tough.
nah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But I
black doesn't
think I
feel like
think
it goes into that.
and hey, but red, I almost said no, but if there's any explosions, like is it style, then but I know you're not doing is it, but sometimes to see what works, to make the combustion engine, you had to blow stuff up, right? Like that's how that works. So,
Yeah, and
Well,
to
the
make
and the thing,
direct current, you had to, fry an elephant with alternating current and make Tesla look bad.
I'm not familiar with that story. That sounds horrifying. An elephant, really?
Didn't they fry an elephant? They did, right?
I remember the first
I don't
wasn't
I don't
wasn't the first time they used the electric chair. They thought it was the voltage that killed people before they realized that it's the current. and so they ran like a really high amount of voltage, and all it did is it just kept frying the person. Like it was actually like melting, like boiling his skin, like cooking him
Ugh.
So
is what was going on.
kids, when your parents asked you what you learned on the mana pool today, um, I'm not sure why they would ask you that. So that's just a weird question. But you can say, "Did you know that the first time that they tried to fry somebody, they fried them too well?" And elephants. No, Chewie, I believe you. I just had never heard that story
Yeah.
before.
Thomas
But
Edison, it turns out, was a giant prick. And, yeah. He went to great lengths to make Tesla's vastly superior alternating current look dangerous.
I saw the Prestige.
Yeah, we watched that with for the watch party just a couple weeks ago. But anyway.
So science and the history of science sounds amazing, and now I kind of want to see this magic set. So good job, Mike.
And the thing I was going to say about what Mike's is about history and preservation and all that. That green fits into that because it's sort of a restoration process. Oh well, this thing is all busted. Well, I rejuvenate it, or cast recycle, and all of a sudden, hey, it's back, and it works. So it's back to the way it used to be.
Same as it ever was.
Yeah. Anyway,
Okay.
I like it.
Yeah. Some really interesting ideas here. This is a good idea, Dirk.
Yeah.
I have those occasionally.
I mean, you have them all the time. We just only do them occasionally.
He's not wrong. So, Chewie.
All right, so the way that I did this was the first thing I did was come up with what colors my school of magic would be, and then I completely ignored that and decided to focus on the philosophy of what my school would teach in the TMP University of the Arcane. And I sort of went like the Hogwarts way with it. This is, which I'm ashamed to admit, but this would be the school of magic that I set up to pass along these values to the students in the future, right?
Right?
So the Chewie school teaches options, because more options is more better, as I say all the time. I want the students of the future that attend my school to be prepared to handle anything that comes their way, because there's nothing worse than being a creature-based deck that's all about handling opponent's creatures and running up against a burn deck. What do? You die.
It's true. Been there before. Sad to say.
Yeah, so more options is more better. So as far as mechanics that go along with this, rather than focus on one or two mechanics, my school will be teaching anything at all that works within the framework. So to go with options, things like kicker and all of the billion options of kicker, like things like blood rush. Remember blood rush?
Yep.
Where you can turn a creature in your hand into a pump spell, or channel, where you can turn. Channel was on. What was channel? I don't even remember now.
It was on creatures that were It was from Saviors of Kamigawa.
Right, that's the one. Yeah, where so the ability to turn creatures in hand into either creatures or spells, or things like morph. Morph gives you options. Just basically anything. Where when you go to cast a spell, you're like, do I want to do it this way or that way? Like the oh god, what? Hang on.
Waiting.
There's one in particular. Was it Riot? There's several where you can either play your creature for this amount, or you can play it for cheaper and get a smaller effect, or play it for more and get a bigger effect, or play it temporarily and have it bounce back to your hand for a cheaper effect. Just more options.
The Rakdos mechanic from the second Ravnica set, was it Unleash?
Yeah, that's on the list.
It could either come in with a +1/+1 counter or have haste, right? So
yeah, Evoke is another good one where you can either get a creature or just get a spell effect from it. Just anything that lets you, like I said, have more options. I don't need a creature right now, but I have to kill that. Well, I've learned how to evoke this Shriekmaw. Yes.
I mean, double face cards that we've seen a lot of lately fit exactly. Do I want a creature or a sorcery? Yes.
But I don't want my students to have that. You know the saying that when all you have is a hammer, every problem looks like a nail?
Yes.
I don't want that. I want my students to be able to see a problem and go, you know what that needs? That needs a drill press. And be able to come up with the magical equivalent of that, you know?
Yeah.
So like split cards and what someone adventures, Pinball Witch just said in the chat. Anything like that. But that's not all. No, that's not all.
Okay.
No. Well,
what else can I get from this fabulous school, Chewie?
Well, before, actually, I missed a part. Having more options is also just good for the student's mental health.
True.
Speaking from experience, when I was locked into one thing that I had to do and I didn't have a choice of how to get out of it, I was miserable. And anyone who says, well, money can't buy happiness, has never been broke before, and they need to shut the hell up. Because what money gets you is options. And when you have the ability to have options, then things are just easier all around on your brain.
You're not wrong.
Yeah, but for me personally, once I was able to break out and come up with a way of living that gave me more options, I've been in a much better place. So I want to pass that mentality on to my students. So, more options is more better, but this also applies. So, if you're playing a game of Magic and you find yourself at 2 health, your options are limited, right?
Correct.
Also, if you find yourself with 3 cards left in your library, or with no creatures left, or, and this is also just the way that I play Magic, so that fits in too. Another thing that you'll learn at the Chewie School in the TMP University of the Arcane is the ability to recycle your resources. So any way to get, like, reanimate your creatures to get more use out of them, or get back lands that have ended up in the graveyard, or get back some artifacts that got destroyed or sacrificed or whatever. Recouping your lost life so that you have more life points to use as a resource. So things like
It's sounding like you're delving into black as a color source.
Whew, excuse me, I was about to sneeze and nothing happened. I will get to the color choices in a minute.
Okay.
But yeah, things like lifelink obviously is a good one. Extort is another way to get life back. Let's see here. Things like recover. Remember recover? Or rebound? Or undying? Or persist? Or unearth? Just like I say, anything that allows you more uses, more value, to put it in card game playing terms. More value. More value. If this was Hearthstone, I would probably be a priest class. Just generate more cards, more value. This is not Hearthstone, so ignore that. But even things like Embalm and Eternalize and Afterlife. You remember all these things? Yup, all of that.
Oh, yeah.
Because we don't want to run out of anything. We want to have all the resources that we have when without running out. We don't want to be without having creatures, or be without having extra mana, or be without life points, most importantly. So, yeah, because if you run out of resources, you run out of options, and more options equals more better. Right? Right.
Right. Choices.
Exactly. Because if you don't have all the resources, then you don't have all the choices, which means you're locked into one path, and that sucks. So, now, as for which colors the school will be, so wait a minute. Brian was a Wooburg, right?
Yep.
And then Dirk was blue-green.
Yep.
And then Mike was blue-white, maybe green.
Yes.
So I'm going to offset all of that. The colors of the Chewie school are not blue.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what's great about this is that I have...
Black, black, red, red.
Do what?
Said black, black, red, red.
Also white, green. But like the great thing about doing this show with three friends who knew me in college is they can back this up. So we were all in a group or a setting. I don't know what the hell you call it at UNCG, called Strong College.
A residential something.
Yeah, that.
Residential college.
Yeah, whatever that means. Which it means we all lived in one dorm, is what that means. It's all pretentious
And occasionally
nonsense.
they would have classes that would be done through the college, but they were things like, like the classes were just sort of like, hey, let's do like a book club. Essentially, is what it was.
Yeah, I did take one Strong College course. It was dark children's literature, where we read lots of cool stuff, and also Flowers in the Attic.
I didn't even know there were any strong college courses. I thought that was something that Mary Faust did.
Oh, I definitely took one with Dr. White. So.
All right. Well, they didn't have any. They didn't have any after I got there.
We just didn't want to tell you.
Yeah.
Don't tell Mike.
But these, like I said, these guys can back me up. There were people in that residential learning community, thank you, Al, that I referred to as intellectuals. And when I use that word in this context, it is derogatory. These were the people who... Now, the four of us, even me, you might not believe this, are actually very smart.
Mm-hmm.
But there were people in Strong College at the same time we were, that not only were they very smart, they wanted you to know they were very smart.
Yeah.
Desperately.
And they looked down on basically everyone who wasn't what they saw as very smart. And I despised those people that we were in school with. I really hated them. Because it turns out you're not smarter than everyone else, and you're actually an asshole. Like...
Well, as everything, you're really smart in the things you're interested in, but when it comes to other things, it's you really are just kind of lording it over people, and that really just rubs people the wrong way.
And loitering.
And getting shot at. No, wait, that's Overwatch. Never mind.
I don't remember that at college.
No, that was Overwatch.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, sorry. But yeah, that's why I've decided to make my school not blue, which is the color of, that like pure quote unquote intelligence. And like what are the humanoid races that are, well, not even the humanoid races, but the sentient races that are blue? There's
Vedalken.
the Vedalken was the very first thing on my mind.
It was on the tip of my from when you're describing it. I'm like,
yup.
Moonfolk, who literally live above everybody else.
Yup. Sphinxes.
Like the Jins.
Yeah, sphinxes who they love lording their cleverness over everyone else.
I see the future. Well, can you tell me about it? Here's a 12-page rhyme that will totally lead you down the wrong path and have you kill your brother or whatever. And turns out you were your own worst enemy, but because I basically set you on that path. I'm a big kitty. Don't you love me?
Well, like Ben just pointed out in the chat, blue is the color of smug intellectualism. Exactly. But Stark also pointed out blue is actually the color of actually, both when used to be genuinely helpful and when used to be insufferably smug. That is correct. And so
the two are not mutually exclusive.
Yeah. And I don't want my students to have that kind of mentality at all. So we're teaching versatility. We're teaching how to reuse all of your resources so that you continue to be versatile. And we're teaching that you are not actually any better than anyone. Except for anti-vaxxers. You're way better than them. Feel free to lord your intelligence over them. They're all idiots.
But you know that.
This applies in the real world as well as in my magic school.
But you would know that because that's common sense. You don't necessarily need to be taught that. It's just understood.
Given the number of anti-vaxxers that are out there these days, I think we need to go back to teaching that.
Yeah, but the problem is that those people hopefully won't be in your class. So you're just telling your students what they already know.
Hopefully.
Maybe your school can put out an official announcement, just in case you know.
So, yeah, I actually went through all of the keywords and ability words and jotted down, like, basically everything that looked like it would fit. Would you like me to read the list? This was fun.
It sounded like you went through all of it already.
Oh, God, no. So we've got, and this is in no particular order, Blood Rush channel, Fateful Hour, because Fateful Hour remembers that thing that kicks in when you're at low health.
Yeah.
I think it's 5 health.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
They did that after they took away mana burn, so that, they could do it and not be dumb.
Right. Yeah, Fateful Hour is good because when you get low on health and you have less options, well, now some of your stuff is just slightly better. Hellbent, same way. If you do happen to run out of this one resource, well, it might not be so bad. And here's some ways to stick with it.
Right.
Strive, more options. Lifelink, Vigilance, Buyback, Cycling, Kicker, Flashback, Morph, scroll. Entwine, Convoke. Hey, I have a bunch of creatures.
Entwine.
They can
I forgot about Entwine.
Right? Entwine is awesome.
Yeah. Sorry. I know I'm interrupted. Keep going.
Convoke, because then you have the option of your creatures being either creatures or mana. Let's see. Recover, Evoke, Unearth. Level Up. Level Up is just awesome, because then you can tailor how this creature is and where your mana goes. It's the mana sink. More mana, more options, more better.
I almost decided to put in level up or a variation on that in my school, and then I thought, and they could summon bigger things as they got smarter, because that's what a student does, and I'm like, that's too busy. But level up in a school setting makes perfect sense because you're learning.
Because you're
stuff.
learning.
Level up. Now sophomore, now junior. Yeah, I love it.
Rebound,
Okay.
persist, undying, because, same thing. Unleash, extort, dash. I don't even remember what dash is, and I just read it earlier.
It was one of the Mardu mechanics. You can pay a different cost to bring the creature in with haste, but then it goes back to your hand.
Right.
That's
right. Let's see. Almost done. Exploit, because sometimes you just have creatures on the battlefield, and you need them to be something else. Awaken, which is really cool for more options. That's the one where you can cast it and wake up a land and have it hit somebody.
Right.
Escalate, fabricate. Do I want this to be bigger, or do I want lots of little dudes around? Yes. Embalm, eternalize, afterlife, riot, and spectacle. And one more that I put in not because it fits with the things I want to teach at school, but because it's me. Provoke. And I even wrote, all of these are just the ability, but next to provoke, I wrote in parentheses, because Chewie.
So is your school gonna be ones like, here are all the potential options? Like yours is gonna be an entire set.
Yeah, I think Chewie just designed Time Spiral again.
Yeah. Well, see, I wasn't designing like a magic set. Dirk actually asked, you listeners, Dirk asked in our Hangout chat, so how many colors is this going to be? We going to stick with 2? And I was like, no, make it as many colors as you want, because we're not trying to build a balanced magic set. And that's why I have so many different options, because, once again, more options. But most of these fall into the 2 categories of reusing mechanics, or they're a variant on kicker. Let's be real. Most magic mechanics are some sort of variant on kicker.
Yeah.
If you really get down to the nitty gritty.
I'm surprised no one mentioned, and I think this would probably fit most cleanly into Chewie school, tutors. Because, tutors, school, like, duh. But then you want to talk about giving your students options and always having the right thing for the right occasion. Tutors. I'm just sitting here while I'm listening. I didn't think of it, and now I'm like, But
Maybe we shied away from it because we just know that having that as some kind of a theme just isn't good.
Yeah, I mean, like, you can't really, like Chewie said, we weren't necessarily setting out to make a balanced magic set, but even if you're, like, approaching that, having some sort of mechanic where tutoring is a major theme slows down the game and makes every game too similar, which actually is a problem. So it couldn't happen. I know we're talking about, like, fantasy here, but really couldn't have it. So
What?
Starcast, Chewie, is your college literally teaching people how to be bullies? And right above that, Ben said, provoke isn't a specific class. You just learned that from Chewie. And I intentionally left out transmute because transmute is primarily blue, but if they ever brought back transmute in more colors, then sure, yeah, that too.
And transmute is a tutoring mechanic.
Yeah, they probably won't bring it back.
No, I think it's got a big. It's got a relatively high or low. I forget how that works. Storm scale number.
High, I think.
Yeah. But yeah. So rather than like focusing on a specific thing like the other 3 schools, mine will be whatever works, do that. Because if you've got this also goes back to me having the physics degree, which physics, if you're not using it for physics, it's not useless. It doesn't not teach you anything. It teaches you how to take the information at hand and solve a given problem. Literally, that's what physics is problem solving. And I don't mean that like word problems, but I mean, no, it actually helped train my brain into how to solve problems, which is pretty awesome. And so that's what we're teaching here is, all right, so here's the thing. How do you do that? Well, I could unearth a dude, or I could cast this with flashback, or I could, yeah, hell yeah, whatever works, do it. So yeah, that's why there's so many options. We're not actually teaching specifically all of these things. We're teaching people how to use the knowledge or whatever they have. And if there are any other mechanics that get introduced later that fit into this, then yep, we'll work that into the curriculum somehow too. Yeah, I took a very personal approach to this. Can you tell?
You did, and that's good. I think this is one of these assignments. You know what I mean? Where we all
Yeah,
did
it's an
kind of
assignment.
take a different approach.
Yeah, you remember that time that we were all given a deck building prompt that was like life, and we all came up with completely
Life.
different ways to use that?
Yeah.
Or the time that we did counters.
Counters. Mhm.
And
Yeah.
we literally came up with 4 different ways to use counters. It was glorious.
Yeah, that's as much as I hate, as I said before, the Dirk's ideas that like require us to do a lot of homework. They're really great when there's something that doesn't require lots and lots of homework. Like this took me, I don't know, it rolled around in my head for like 2 days, and then I snagged on something, and it took me, I don't know, like an hour and a half to get all of this ironed out in my head. But I do love it when we have these. We get an individual thing or a very general thing, and we all take it in different directions because all of our brains work differently. I've always loved that about us.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I don't
There's
hate
definitely more than one
sports.
way to solve a problem.
Exactly. Stark said Chewie hates blue because he hates smug, intelligent assholes. Chewie also hates sports. Apparently, this means the rival school is full of really smart, really smug jocks who only care about football. And I don't hate sports. I just personally have no interest in sports anymore as I've gotten older. And this is speaking as a guy who the blanket thing, the fleece throw, I guess you call it, on his couch is a big ass Steelers logo. But I still like pay attention. I just don't.
Yeah.
I just don't care. Like a couple years ago, I think it was when the Steelers went undefeated for a good, or the Panthers. Now I don't even remember who it was, but one of them went undefeated for a good chunk of time. I was like, yay! But I didn't watch any games because. It was the Panthers. Okay, thank you. I see. It shows you how much attention I don't pay. It doesn't stick anymore.
I gotta say, now that I feel like we're kind of wrapping up here a little bit,
Well, yeah.
that I feel like maybe I did take this a little too far, but it was really fascinating from my perspective when I zoned in on my theme to be like, okay, I talked about the philosophy of green and white and why do they summon the way that they do, which I'm probably reading more into Wizards has probably read more into this than I do because it's their job, but thinking about how do the colors overlap and how do they do that versus what a summoned creature and even the method of summoning would look like for blue and black. And it was a really fun thought exercise. So I definitely appreciate these sort of open-ended topics where I can go all in on this and Mike can go all in on his, and we're not at all even close to the same, but we both find it fascinating. And I still really want to see Mike's concept realized. A magic school based on the history of science, which in a world with magic, where magic and science are intertwined. I mean, think about how different our
Yeah.
medicine would look if there was magic, but in theory, people still die. Maybe magic can't solve cancer. Maybe it can. I don't know. Questions. I have so many questions, and I would love to see this. So, but I enjoy the. Uh, Anybody that's been listening for a while knows I really do enjoy the thought exercises, and I certainly don't mind the create new cards or new abilities or stuff, even if I don't know if they always work, because because it's fun for me. It expresses some of my creativity itch. I like it. As Chewie said, I love that we all come at this from different angles, and we come up with very different and interesting ideas.
Yeah. We're good
Okay,
like that.
we are.
Although now I'm curious what we have all come up with if we were all on the same page.
Mm-hmm.
I thought for a hot minute, I thought I kind of took Chewie's approach of what would I want to do, and it's not that my identity is tied to my job, but I guess my work has had a lot going on lately, and I didn't feel like making a law school, so I really, really didn't. So I kind of abandoned that. I had that thought for like I said for just a little bit, and I'm like, that's not what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do one about Magic the Gathering. So
Yeah. And like the magical equivalent of physics is freaking blue, so I couldn't do that. Like blue is very much the color of like meta things. Like in order to counter spells, you have to know how magic works. Damn it. So, whereas you don't have to know anything about how magic works to kill some creatures. So
Mm-hmm.
that would have been frustrating, and I went, nope, because I really do just not enjoy Blue's playstyle. I told Clues he would enjoy the colors of my school, and he went, is it red and red? With red on the side? With maybe a splash of red for color balance. And I was like,
you're not wrong.
Also, anyone caught playing with a Sensei's Divining Top in my school will be instantly sent to detention. That one was for Clues.
Can I ever get out of detention?
Hashtag stop the top.
Like detention for life, maybe?
I mean, not that bad. You just gotta learn how to, either watch or preferably help as your Sensei's Divining Top gets utterly destroyed forever.
You are in the correct colors to make that happen.
You're damn right I am. Well, that was fun. I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
Agree.
So what now? Wrap it up? Final thoughts?
Sure.
No.
Okay.
Before final thoughts, I'm gonna do the Patreon thing. Haha. So
Unexpected.
If you would like to help support what we do, you can go to patreon.com/themanapool, sign up to become a lifeguard, which gets you early access to the YouTube videos and the podcasts, and gets you, if you so choose, there are different tiers. You can get the odds and ends tier, where you get access to the odds and ends, the behind the scenes stuff from both podcasts, the Monday Night Magic and the Manapool, because I'm still not quite done with Monday Night Magic yet. I was doing a good run on getting those done, and then I had to stop working on everything because I had to clean the apartment. Y'all, my apartment hasn't been this clean since I moved in. Because Steph was coming to visit, and I looked around and went, Jesus, how do I live like this? And I cleaned the apartment. So, yeah. A big thanks to Amanda and to Star. I know they'll never listen to this, but still, credit where credit's due for helping me out. with that. They're the best. But anyway, so where was I? Odds and ends? Yes. And also you can get the sponsorship shout out on both podcasts. Like I'm falling into old habits on the podcast and on the end screen for all the YouTube videos. So let me thank our mythic lifeguards in this order. Yeah. So Stan, he still hasn't told me how to pronounce his last name. Stan, I'm going to say Magunk. ALK Alters, Mr. Dr. Lewis, Violet Moon, Connor Kennedy, Scuzzo, Aleph Cat, Beardy Man, Jeff Spencer, John Parker, Jason Doan, Cody Buckowing, Casey, The Beast Father, Aaron Goodwine, Al, Andrew Hunt, Jason Kaus, Timu Hillis Haru, PJ McMullen, Jake Jansens, and Kim Ho. Thank you all so very much for your support. I quite literally could not do this without you. And I have ideas for more different YouTube content, actually, that have been running through my head for a while now. I just have to figure out some... You remember that super secret project I was working on like last year or the year before now?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
That's still been bouncing around in my head, but I've had other ideas that are slightly less ambitious that I could do to like kick that off. So that means you guys, the lifeguards, will get first access to those to like help me figure out, hey, is this any good? Is this working? Do I need to change something or other or whatever thing? So you guys will get like the first draft. It'll be like a beta test. So thank you, patrons, in advance. But okay. So final thoughts now for realsies.
For realsies. This was fun, and it was a really super interesting thought experiment. I'm honestly glad I had time to work on it this week because work has been crazy, and I really get tired of saying that sometimes, but some weeks are just crazier than others. But got a lot going on right now, but very happy to keep this consistent. So glad we do this on a regular basis, and kind of gives me thoughts for later installments, like going back and doing some of the like counters, life, that, those sorts of segments. Yeah. So hope everyone is doing well. Hope everyone appreciates their mothers. I realize this episode may come out after or be available to the general public after Mother's Day, but at the time we're recording it, it's a couple days yet to come. So hopefully you celebrate that and appreciate what they do for you or have done for you.
I don't get to see Mom for Mother's Day because she's still in Virginia. Boo.
Well, all right. And hopefully everybody continues to stay safe and healthy, and get vaccinated, please. All the shots, all of them. Maybe not like, well, you know what I mean. So, and I'm going to head out. Everybody have a great night, okay?
Night, B.
All right. I guess for my final thought, like I said, I'm having all my fun sinus stuff going on right now, so if my voice has sounded weird, that's why. I was wiped out earlier today. Just, I got through the day, and that's about all I can say with that. I was not working at 100%. It was bad enough that my students were even going, "Are you okay?" So I was able to get through, and I took one doozy of a nap earlier today. As soon as I got home, I made dinner for the kiddos, and then I took a nap. And that's
what exactly
pretty much the main reason why I'm awake right now.
What exactly constitutes a doozy of a nap?
Sometimes you take like a power nap of 15 minutes. Mine was, let's see, about about an hour and a half.
That is a doozy of a nap, yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, I got the kids home around 5-ish, made dinner, and then sat down and put something on the TV so that way the kiddos were eating and doing their thing, and then Chelsea got home and she, just bless her soul, you know, took care of got the kiddos showered and all that, so that I could lay down and try and not, just fall out and just like, I'm trying to think of a good term for it. Just not just be unconscious this evening. Just
So Dirk wouldn't be on the show, and then all of a sudden we hear, it's like, what was that? That
yeah,
was Dirk's head hitting the desk.
pretty much. And then there would be a lot more of the, me sniffing and everything else, because I'd be forgetting to mute myself, because I'd be so out of it. I'd be so tired. I'm like, I don't care. It's just go and try and see if I can clear my sinuses out. But I had a lot of fun with my physics kids today, because we were in the electricity unit, and so we built circuits today, and then tomorrow they've got a lab, which I've been kind of playing up we're doing a lab, and then you guys are building bridges next week, trying to get people to entice people back to school, um, because I have seen a significant difference between the students who are like, I'm just going to stay at school. There's a difference between, I'm going to stay at home because I feel safe, and I'm going to stay at home because I'm too lazy to put clothes on. And there is a disproportionately large number of people that are in the latter category. That the reason why they're not coming to school is because that would require too much effort. And for the physics kids, we're doing a lab tomorrow. You guys are going to be dealing with electricity. They're going to be investigating electricity properties. They're going to be doing resistors and amp meters and everything, kind of looking at what happens to resistance and blah, 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 blah. And then they're doing a bridge construction where they have to build a bridge out of wood. It has to be certain length, and it has to be as light as possible. And we're going to break some bridges next week. That's what you do with bridges. In school, you do.
That's true. Yeah,
You
I
break
usually
bridges
burn
and
bridges in my personal life.
so
Actually, no, not
we
in my professional life. I burn bridges.
there you go. Yeah, it's one of those. But we're purposefully breaking bridges and everything, and I just have to remember that they have to have eye protection, because the one time I almost forgot, um, I had probably about 12 pounds sitting on one of these bridges, and I was going, okay, this bridge isn't breaking. Usually it is you put a bunch of weight and they start bowing in the middle and everything, and this bridge was not doing that. And we had put probably about 12 pounds worth of stuff into this box, or into a bucket. And so I'm going, okay, we're gonna stop. You guys have to put eye protection on. And as we continue to put stuff into this bucket, we probably about 2 minutes later, this bridge exploded. Like, I've never seen a bridge. Usually bridge breaks and you can hear it breaking and everything. No, this bridge exploded. Like, I found chunks on the other side of the room from this bridge. So I mean, when it gave catastrophically.
That's awesome.
So I'm always excited about doing the construction, and I've even told the physics kids that this semester, this school year, has just been the hardest for me, because half of what we do labs. They're supposed to do lab write-ups for for all the labs we do, and they've usually get construction projects where they build catapults, they build bridges, they build rockets. I mean, stuff that's hands-on, where you you have to test it, because if you don't test it and you show up on the day, you fire your catapult, and instead of throwing the projectile forward, it throws it backwards. Which that's happened more times than I'm willing to count. Where, after they throw it back the second time, you're just looking at them going, why don't you just flip it around backwards and just do that? Because obviously your catapult is not throwing it the right direction. So,
See, it's a strategical one, so the enemy thinks that it's not ready to fire.
yeah, there you go. Well, there was one where back in Burlington, that we had the physics class. They built the catapults, and the history department, they had started like a history club where they were supposed to be doing like competitions with nearby schools. I'm going, we could put the catapults on top of the school and we could rain chaos down on top of them, because we could augment the catapults and trebuchets with water balloons, because they're set to throw tennis balls. Water balloon, it's not that far of a difference. Like, we could do that. I'm pretty sure we'd win. So,
Oh my god.
but again, the all those constructions, they're just so much fun to do, and it has killed me not to have those for the physics classes, to not do labs, to not have the projects. So it's good that I told them in this, I'm like, we're gonna get at least one project in. So this is the one I decided on.
Nice.
So, well, that ends my final thought and everything. There was actually one I wanted to talk about, but I have since forgotten. We were talking about the schools and everything, so I've completely forgot what I was originally going to talk about. But I am going to head off and head on to bed, because I want to hopefully feel better for tomorrow.
Yep.
So
Please do feel better.
I hope so.
Dirk, first rule.
Good. Don't die.
Yeah.
I remember that. It has
Even
nothing
in
to
your
do with
current
Fight
state.
Club. Do what?
So even in your current state, you remembered that.
I know. It's because I had that nap earlier.
Eh.
All right. So you all have a wonderful day and have a wonderful night. Be safe, guys.
All right.
All right. Night, Zerk. Lord. Even when we start a bit early and finish a bit early, they always leave us. Mike, have you noticed?
Yeah, I have.
Do we smell? I mean, I know I do, but do you smell too?
Maybe.
Oh, okay.
I think I've been using this shirt for days.
I don't want to know using it for what. So,
To wear.
oh, as clothing. Gotcha.
Yes. Yeah, to dab barbecue sauce off my mouth.
Oh, how about you? What you got?
Someone said in the chat that there were already previews of, and I think you also said something earlier, there were already previews of stuff from the Dungeons and Dragons set. That'll be neat to check out. That might be something where I actually just order some cards just for the novelty of it. I haven't gotten any cards in the last few sets. The last Magic cards I got was some the last Magic cards I got in person was from the Throne of Eldraine pre-release, and after that, it's like I ordered some stuff from Theros Beyond Death because I'm like, ooh, cool, I'm gonna build decks out of this stuff, and of course I didn't. But yeah, I'd like to get some Dungeons and Dragons just for the novelty of it.
Word.
Looking forward to that. Looking forward to talking about them. But yeah, even though I didn't get a lot of time to spend thinking about the school for the topic today, I think it felt like I was able to tap into something interesting that other people interesting. So that was good. Because yeah, I always appreciate being able to talk to y'all to get the different perspectives that we have all working together.
Yeah.
Come up with some real interesting stuff. And when you were talking about the intellectuals earlier, I knew exactly who you were talking about. And I remember that when I first showed up, I know I had some of that crossover attitude just because I was used to being the smartest person in the room. But thankfully, I grew out of it. I recognized that I needed some growing to do, and I recognized that I did grow, and I'm grateful for that.
I am too.
Yeah.
There was a small but definite handful of them that I mean, what?
Wow, Ben said in the chat there's going to be cards with old monster manual art. That's awesome. Like, I assume you mean like either second edition or at least colorized first edition, because old AD&D they were just black and whites. They were just black and white ink drawings. I don't know. Maybe they will go that far. Well, dang, it is black and white. Cool. Yeah, I'm excited to talk about those and see them.
Huh, neat. Having not been a D&D person, that all sounds terrible to me. Not terrible. Completely nothing to me.
Yeah, completely alien, yeah. It doesn't mean anything. I mean, just as anyone who excited about a fandom that you're not at all familiar with.
It's true.
Yeah, that's it for now.
Fair enough. Well, I don't know. I've been working on. So a couple weeks ago, instead of doing a podcast episode, it's like 3 weeks ago now. Instead of doing a podcast episode, we did a just chatting stream, and I was like, I'm probably not even going to cut this up and turn it into YouTube videos. I lied. So I've been working on that. I've also started on the what do we call it, Wednesday night whatever, which was me and Bill and Clues hopped on stream on a Wednesday night and did a just chatting stream there too. So all of that will be going up on the YouTube channel. Started today. The first one went up. I got another Final Fantasy video up too, which it turns out was like 2.5 hours of play. I managed to turn into, I think it was like a 36-minute video. So that was pretty cool. And yeah. That's what's going on right now on the YouTube channel. And then for streaming, oh man, I streamed the first of the new Hitman games one night this week. Was that Monday? That might have been Monday. I can't remember now. Because like the concept of these, I call them the new Hitman games because they're the new Hitman games. Like there were old Hitman games, but these are the new Hitman games. And anyone who knows anything at all about how that works knows that this is totally, that makes perfect sense. Like they did a rebrand and not rebrand, but they did a reboot essentially a few years ago, and it was an episodic thing where every few months they would release a new map as like the next chapter to download. And then when it was all out, they got it all as one, and now it's a game. And then since then, Hitman 2 and now Hitman 3 have come out, but I figured I'd start at the beginning. And I tried it in December of 2018, and it was all right, but the beast wasn't up to snuff for both playing and streaming that game. So I, now that I have the upgrade here, I was like, oh my god, Hitman, I need to try this again. And it was a lot of fun. I'm really bad at Hitman, but it was so much fun. Figuring out how things work and where you can go when you're wearing what outfit, and trying to figure out how am I going to get in there and kill that person. Son of a... Like, it was just fun. The Hitman games are essentially, like, it's a stealth game, of course, but it's also a puzzle game. But the neat thing is, each puzzle has many different solutions. Like, when I did the second target on the Paris map, I ran out of options, and I just shot her in the head from point blank range, and then hopped on a drain pipe, slid down to the ground, and booked it to the exit. Because I've been in this level for like 45 minutes, I don't know what else to do yet anymore. But that's the thing I'm going to keep doing. Those games are meant to be played like over and over and over and over until you learn each map and learn how things work. Because there are challenges, essentially, they're sort of like achievements, like for getting certain kinds of kills, or doing certain kinds of something, or starting in a certain place, or exiting in a certain place, or not changing outfits, or whatever, you know, and it all just sounds fascinating. So I'm going to keep doing that on stream every once in a while because it's fun. And I started Doom 2 last night. Got through a good chunk of that. I think I got through 12 levels or something. I can tell that with Doom 2, now that I've played all of Doom 1 and the extra chapter of Doom 1 that came out after Doom 2, I can't remember what it's called now off the top of my head. But Doom 2 seems to be having more fun with its level design. Like, the original Doom was all very, all right, go here, kill things until you find the key, and then go back to the corresponding door and open that, and then go over there and do that. And as you went through the levels, that same basic structure was pretty much the same. It just got harder with more monster closets and more horrible monsters. And then the bonus chapter, like I said, that came out after Doom 2, was just made by someone who hated the people that played Doom. Like, just, hey, you remember those things that were the bosses of the first chapter, the Barons of Hell? Well, here's two of them just in a room. Screw you. It's like, I have 6 shotgun shells. Like, well, I guess you'll die then, idiot. Like, but Doom 2 really seems to be, like, you could tell they were comfortable with the engine and they were just playing. Like, what was the level? Tricks and Traps was one of the few levels that I remembered from playing Doom 2 when I was a kid. And that was such a trip. And there's one called The Pit that was completely bizarrely put together, but a lot of fun to actually traverse. And just a bunch of levels like that were just entertaining rather than just functional, you know, corridors where you kill imps. Plus the new monsters that they added in Doom 2. I think I've met them all now. The last one I met is the one who has that attack that you can't dodge and who resurrects other enemies. Yeah, I bumped into one of those. And I think that's all the new ones now. But it's really cool to see how the game has, like, the game Doom has progressed from 1 to 2. It's neat, which is why I'm doing the franchise run. I still haven't decided if, when I finish Doom 2, if I'm going to do Final Doom or if I'm just going to move on to Doom 64. Because Final Doom, as far as I can tell, is just more maps from the Doom 1 and 2 style. I don't know if it's actually technically a separate game or if it's just, here's a collection of maps. So, I'll figure that out, I guess, once I finish Doom 2. But, yeah. So that's what I've been doing on stream lately. Now that I'm back to streaming, now that I've cleaned the apartment and Steph has left me. It's I'm getting back into the groove. Groove, I say. And yeah, I guess that's it. But with that, we will be done. This has been the Mana Pool number 621. And yeah. Be sure, one last reminder, I'm going to upload probably a separate file that says this. I know I said this a couple weeks ago, but then I forgot. One more time, double check the RSS feed you're subscribed to and make sure it's the Libsyn account. It should be, what is it? The manapool.libsyn.com/RSS. If it's not that one, if it's the FeedBurner account, then when I flip the switch, you're going to just lose access entirely. So be sure that you check that. Like I said, I'm going to upload a separate file that says that. So if you happen to see like a little 2 or 3 minute audio file pop up and you've already checked and switched, just ignore that.
Yeah, you should probably open a few episodes with that information too.
Well, I did a few episodes ago.
Okay.
I remember, I think 2 episodes, I knocked it out right at the beginning. Like, hey, here's information. Which is why I'm going to upload, like I said, the separate file so that no one has any excuse for not seeing it. It's like, hey, how come you guys stopped doing the show? We didn't. You just didn't listen and follow instructions. So, yeah. But okay, with that, we will be done with this episode. We hope you all enjoyed. Thank you all so very much for joining us. And which school at the TMP University of the Arcane will you be joining?